Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Yes, my name is Marvin Smith. Um, I just want to do a quick video live. I will be doing upcoming videos in regards to want to talk about topics as far as credit. As I mentioned before, I'm not a financial expert, but I'm an accountant. I've been in this field for over 20 years. So I want to talk about credit from a different perspective of how you've been taught and what you've been heard about it. I'm excited about that. I want to bring on people that's going to talk about business credit, what's the difference between business credit and personal credit. And I will be talking about personal credit, how to use that, and how to use credit to your advantage. Um, for many of those like myself who grew up in a household where my mother didn't have a credit card, she never had a bank account, she never wrote checks. Everything was done through the check cashing place. Those that live in the urban areas, or what we call the hood, or the urban areas throughout America, especially in New York, where I grew up at in Brooklyn, New York, we used to have what they call a check cashing place. And then you would go to cash your checks. You would go there to pay your bills. You would go there to buy movies, uh, DVDs, whatever they were selling in the check cash. But you could do MoneyGram, Western Union. So in most black and brown, black and Hispanic neighborhood, we didn't have banks. If we did have a bank, it was far away. We had a bank on Utica Avenue. I mean, it was Chase was on Utica Avenue, but other than that, we didn't really have banks in our community that we could really go to. And then my mother wasn't really educated in terms of finance and stuff like that. So what I want to talk about, I'm going to be talking about credit and finance from a psychological perspective, giving my own opinion. As I mentioned, I'm not a financial expert. I don't like to use that word expert. I feel like every day I'm learning something different and something new and evolving. So I don't use that word financial expert. I want to talk basic on a basic level to where you can go home and teach your children, you go home and teach your parents. It's gonna benefit you. And as I mentioned, what I'm teaching is not a magic pill. So what that means is that it's not gonna you take you're gonna digest what I'm saying and automatically you're gonna be healed. It's a process like anything else. We're all creatures of habits, and we have to understand what the habit is and be able to identify that habit so we can fix that and move forward. And I'll be talking about taxes, and the tax season is coming up. I'm also excited. I have partnered where any one of you out there who has owed taxes to the IRS, a large amount, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. I'll be glad to talk with you. As I mentioned, I have upcoming videos that I will be coming out with, and I look forward to it. I'm excited. I've done this before years ago, but now what I'm starting to do is realize that how technology works and using technology to my advantage, get the word out. To everything in life, there's a positive, negative to it. So if you understand social media, you can use social media to your advantage. For me, social media is not a place that I put out my business. I'm a very private person, I'm a very private man. I'm not on here on Facebook putting up pictures of myself everywhere I go, giving you a day-to-day update about pictures. That's not me. That's not my style. That's not who I am. I enjoy my privacy. If I'm doing it in Facebook, I'm posting to the groups that I'm in as far as tax professionals or black business owners and stuff of that nature. Think that's going to benefit me. I have family and friends that I communicate with. As I mentioned, I'm not on the Instagram. I'll look at Instagram. I'm not posting nothing on Instagram. I'm not really on Twitter. But now what I'm going to be using is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch and other social media to actually get my podcast out and being able to touch subjects that you can relate to on a day-to-day basis. And I always say that when we went to school, however, we never took courses in taxes, credit, and that's why the masses of the people are uneducated how to use credit. And as I mentioned, credit has been here since the beginning of time. It will never ever go away. Credit is I call part of the system. part of life. Where, for example, you might have one of your boys, you might borrow their shirt, borrow sneakers. You're always borrowing something from someone and somewhere and something. You're always going to borrow. That's life. We borrow air to breathe. We borrow water to drink. We borrow water to cook. We borrow water to take a bath. We borrow electricity where we can see. So we're always we live in a borrowing system in exchange for something. Cash will never go away because cash will never go away because the government always has the power to print, in spite of cryptocurrency and all cryptocurrency and biocurrency. But you still need to print money and you still need credit. You can never get rid of those two things. I always say that if you can understand how taxes work and how credit works, rich people use credit. Rich people use credit to buy assets. Poor people use credit to purchase liabilities. Asset is what you own. Asset also what you can liquidate. Meaning that what Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, where he said that, which I agree with him. When you purchase a home, you don't own it. Why? Because it's a lien on that deed, meaning that the bank still owns the property. That's why they give you a 30-year mortgage. So after that 30 years and you've paid that loan in full, which is your mortgage, now they will send you out a deed with your name on it in it, and it won't have a lien on the deed. Meaning that the bank owns the property. It's like when you finance a car. You don't get the official title until you pay the car off. Once you pay the car off, now they will send you an official title with your name. Why? Because now you own the car. Just like a house. When you go buy a house, you don't own the house. Why? The house is a liability to you and an asset to the bank. Why? Because every time you pay that mortgage, you are paying money that's coming out of your pocket, paying the bank. The other part now, how do you make your house become an asset? Asset means what you own, and asset also brings cash into your pockets, into your bank account. So to make your house become an asset, let's say for example you had a 3-bedroom home that you have. However, you have the basement that you have reconstructed and made it into either apartment or a room. Now you're renting out that basement to a tenant, and now that person is paying you rent. Now your home is now becoming an asset because why? It's putting cash in your pocket versus taking cash out of your pocket. So let's say, for example, your mortgage is $1,000, right? Yet you own the house. You have the basement and you have 3 bedrooms. There's one room vacant now because maybe your kids have moved out of the house, whatever. You decide to turn it into, you can rent those rooms out, but your mortgage is $1,000. Now you rent out one room, you can charge $600 to $700 with utilities included for a room. Then you have the basement, and that has an interest, which was the door interest to the basement. Some places have an interest to the basement, and now you're renting out the basement for another, let's say for example, $600. 6 and 7 is $1,300. So now you have a profit. Now you have an extra $300. You're ahead. You have a profit of $300. What do you do with that $300? You can either put it in the bank, or that $300 can go towards utilities like water, gas. So what I mean by that is that now you've taken your home and you made it into an asset by renting out rooms. The other component, I say you have a car and you finance the car or you own the car and you have multiple vehicles. Your vehicles, while they're sitting around, they can be making money with a program called Turo. Turo is a program similar to Zipcar and Hertz car rental share. So now what you're doing is you're signing up for Turo, which is what you can sign up for, and you're going to use your car, which is sitting there, to make money for you. So now you set up with Turo, and let's say you set for 5 days. Now the person go on the Turo app and they book a rental to now rent your vehicle. So now The reason why I mentioned those two things is because there's easy way to make money, and what I mean by easy way to make money, technology has made it in a way where now you can create your own business. You can have money. You can also create money and make money. And now you have the resources at the tip of your head, which is your cell phone, which you carry around with you, and it has everything on it. Many of you have laptops home, and you have desktops home. Many of you have notepads. So I just mentioned those two there. So I want to get more into detail about is a house, your house. One, you don't own it until you pay up whatever the mortgage is. If it's a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. A lot of you make the mistake of refinancing for a lower interest rate, but however, they tack on another 10 years. So now you're going from a 30-year mortgage to a 40-year mortgage because you want lower monthly payments. So the house that you have, you don't own it until you pay the contractual agreement means you have a 30-year mortgage. When you pay that mortgage and you paid it in full for 30 years, once you pay it in full, the bank will now send you what? A deed with your name on it. So there's a lien on the deed because the bank owns the property. So if you look at it from an accounting perspective, the house is a liability to you on the balance sheet. It's a liability to you because why? You're paying out of your pocket to the bank. And to the bank, it's an asset. Why? Because why? It's an asset that generates revenue. So which is cash. So it generates revenue for the bank and it generates an expense for you. That means you have to pay this for 30 years. So there is a lien on the deed. Once the loan is paid in full, then the bank will send you a deed with your name on it. They will release the deed, the lien off the deed, and now you have an official deed with your name on it. Now, if you don't pay property taxes, you can lose your home still. But as I mentioned before, I want to be talking about those things there in my opinion and what I think. There's a lot of opinions out here, but I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to tell you things that you want to hear. We will have real conversations and real topics, and we will talk about a lot of things in terms of, as I just mentioned, credit. I feel that if you can understand how credit works and you can somewhat master it to make a credit work for you, because there's something as good debt and there's bad debt. Rich people acquire, they have good debt. So they use, in other words, they use loans and credit cards for their advantage to purchase assets, right? Middle class and poor people purchase debt by using credit cards. Because as I mentioned before, growing up, how many of you or many of us was taught about credit, how credit works? We know, in other words, we borrow from each other. However, there's a different level as far as finances, how finances work. So many of us was never taught about finances in our home. Our parents, my mother didn't teach me, and a lot of you can relate to what I'm saying. So you didn't have that teaching. We didn't learn it in school. We never learned it in public school, middle school, high school, not even college. So what I'm here to talk about is what I want to be talking about is different than what you hear from a financial advisor. I'm going to talk about the basic things because really you have to get to the core of the issue or the core of the problem. We are creatures by habit. So now what we do is what we've been taught. And where did it all start at? At home. I'm going to go deeper. It started in the womb of our mother. Because we are what our parents are. We inherited the very thing of who they are, which shapes us, even though we have choice in life. But what I want to show you is that what you got to get to the core of the problem from a psychological part, understanding where it all started from. So now you can pretty much identify what it is and be able to fix it. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like someone who was smoking cigarettes and trying to get off of cigarettes. It doesn't work that way. You have to somehow wean yourself off it slowly. And you have to have a plan. So they always say you have to replace one habit with another habit. Why? Because naturally we are creatures of habit. And everything that we do has a habit and a behavior to it. But we must be able to identify what it is. So I'm looking forward to being able to talk to you. So this is just a brief video. This is just something that I will be getting into, and I'm going to enjoy it. I have a couple of YouTube videos out there that you can go look at. One of them is I did an interview with Ruben Ramos. That was back years ago when I was living in New York. And I was talking about finances and taxes. I did another video called the Money Rejection Complex, which I'm talking about on a spiritual level. And I want to revisit that and do something like a overview of that video and what I was talking about, what I was getting at. So I'm excited, and I want to thank everyone, and everyone have a safe and enjoy the rest of your night and your weekend. And I'll be getting back to you. Thank you.